I got you. All right,
Oh,
Spenser, what is up, dude?
what's up, man?
Can you
How you doing?
hear me? Can you see me all right?
Yeah, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
I can. I can. Perfect. Awesome. Awesome. Thank God, man. Thank you, once again for, giving me the little time here. I've been absolutely sick as fuck. I think the old Rona got me.
Oh,
Can you believe
oh,
it?
really?
It's supposed
I thought,
to be fake.
I thought that was over. No,
You
I
know,
mean, yeah. Done.
I had yesterday, it was the worst. I've been down for probably about a week. And then yesterday I'm at like 103, 104 temperature, back pains, back of my neck. It was insane. It was absolutely awful. So yeah, thank you for bearing with me. I didn't want you to think that I'm just like fucking you around and leading you on, continuing through this,
No,
man.
you're good, man. You're good. That sucks. I'm glad you're feeling better, though.
No, I appreciate it. So I have to say, first and foremost, thank you so much for the time. Absolutely psyched. I've been a follower and a lover of your music, and then going back and looking into some of your stuff. And then I have to say that I wasn't even aware of Barry up until this final season that just released. And
Really?
now I'm like absolutely in love with it.
It's
It's amazing.
one of the best
So
shows
sick.
of all time, man. Yeah, that was a dream. That was like my favorite fucking show, you know? So,
All right, we're gonna get in that in a little bit here. What I want to, first and foremost, dig into, as far as background into your music, but starting off, at a young age, what was music, what was bands, artists, anything like that were catching your ear at a young age? Maybe it was something that friends, parents were listening to, and it's something that you started drawing to yourself.
uh, the earliest I can remember, I think it's for a lot of people, is your parents, right? Like your first love of music. My dad was like a Beatles head and classic rock. My mom was jamming like hair metal and B2s and like I liked both of them. And then I'm of like the MTV generation, man. That shit was like that was where you went, to find out about music, at the time. And I think for me, like my very first love for like my own was like grunge music. So it was like Nirvana, Pearl Garden, and that was like where I felt like a difference in my in like a difference in my bones when I was listening to music. It was just something that felt different. And then honestly, what got me into like punk and then led into like opening up into metal and stuff was I remember seeing the video for When I Come Around by Green Day on MTV and being like, who are they? And it just really resonated with me. And my grandfather bought me the CD like that week, and it was just
Okay.
like trying to figure out, just find shit like that,
Yeah. Okay. Now, I mean, you mentioned that gift. Do you remember the first thing that you remember buying with your own money? Maybe it was allowance or something that you earned by a paycheck as far as a CD or a tape?
Oh shit! Do like gift certificate count or no?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah, totally.
All right. I think, man, probably the one that's coming to mind was Evil Empire, and like Rage Against the Machine in like
Oh.
96, I think. And I got a gift certificate to Newberry Comics,
Oh, shit.
and I remember buying it there and just being obsessed with it.
Yeah, absolutely. I still buy stuff from Newberry. They have like
Really?
exclusive records and shit that come out all the time. I'm from Michigan, but I see that they come out with like exclusive stuff all the time, and I pick up shit from them all the time.
No shit.
Yeah. Are they out of New York?
What's up?
Are they out of New York?
No, Massachusetts. So like they were started on Newberry Street
Oh.
in Boston, and then they had other
Oh, shit. Okay.
from Massachusetts, and so that was like I would go in there and hang out forever,
Okay. That makes sense because I think the two records I'm thinking of are Vane and Converge, and those are both Massachusetts bands. So maybe that's like the tie to it.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah.
Could have been that. Okay. Now, as far as like those interests and, like eventually becoming involved in music, what comes to mind as far as individual musicians? Were there guitarists or drummers or even vocalists that, you kind of honing in on, like, how are they pulling that off? you mentioned Rage Against the Machine. I mean, that's probably an early one for sure.
That was definitely an early one. I remember being like, for Zach De La Rocha and Tom Morello, both being like, those fucking guys were so cool to me. And then I guess you could go Billy Joe Armstrong, Dimebag, Henry Rollins, Bane, and then Jake Bannon was a big one at the time, you know, when I was first getting into it. I was like, you know, 19 or something. And I don't know. Tupac was a big one in like 7th grade. I fucking
Okay. Okay. Did you ever divulge into any of that at all? Like make a demo tape and kind of, you know, like do any rapping over anything?
I tried. It's a thing where you have to recognize who you are, and like as much as passionate as I feel about that genre and that culture, I just realized it wasn't for me. Like I felt like I can write, but yeah, it's just not where I belong. And like I really thought that I could try and do that. I felt deep in my fucking bones that I should do this. And in 2000 and fuck, I think it was 2009 or 10. I was living in Jacksonville, Florida, and there was a league called Grind Time Now, which is just like battle rapping. And I was like, I think this is something I can do. And you write your bars like before you go, right? So it's just memorization. And I had my guy, and it was like I felt really good. And then last minute he dropped, and they gave me this new motherfucker, and I was like scrambling and writing shit. And then we get cameras, like it's a camera crew and shit. It was nuts, and I should not have been there. And and I remember I got out. I got out 4 bars and then just blanked, just fucking choked, nothing. And I was like, all right. And I remember leaving, and my friend Chef, he passed away, but he was like this real big like DJ dude down there. And as I was walking out, he like gave me a dap, and then he goes, "The shit for you, dog." All right, that's it. Up of that.
I mean, you know, it's kind of one of those things where like at least you're putting yourself out there. At least you're like trying. You know, if it's something you have that passion and you kind of recognize like maybe this just isn't my niche. I'll kind of feel my way through some certain things too. So you mentioned being in Florida. Then I mean, you've lived how many states?
Fuck, 5 now. Yeah.
Oh, geez. Okay. Yeah, so doing lots of moving. I know East Coast and everything. So like through, some of these spots, does anything come to mind as far as, local music shops to you that maybe you had maybe even hit up one point living somewhere and then didn't get to go to again, but it was something that was very memorable to you just from all the moving you were doing?
Yeah, I mean, we mentioned Newbury Comics. That was a big one for me because I left Massachusetts when I was 14. Got moved. Yeah. My sister down there, and I would still go back, at Christmas. But the one that was kind of the most important to me was a spot called the Record Exchange in Roanoke, Virginia, which is where I lived. It was not my favorite town. Not a lot of culture there, but a spot called the Record Exchange, and I would go there from I guess it was 99 to 2003, and I would just skate there from my apartment and just stay there for hours, talking to the older shop dudes, asking for recommendations, looking through the used CD collections. You could listen to all the used CDs. Like sometimes because of them, they'd open up new ones and let me check shit out. I would hang out on, and I love those dudes. I'm still friends with those guys, which is crazy too.
Oh, sick.
Yeah.
I was gonna mention too, anybody that was kind of like a hero at any of these spots, as far as showing you into, but it sounds like that spot really had, a couple of cats that, because it's always nice having that local music shop of any sort, even if it was a FYE in the mall, and having somebody who's like, hey man, I know that you're into this, you should check this out.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I had friends. My friend Mike worked at FYE later on. Mike Paparo, he does vocals in Inter Arma. I don't know if you are familiar.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So
weird. Okay.
Hey, old friends of mine, and I don't know if he's gonna want me to say it, but Mike worked at F.Y.E. and he actually turned me on to a lot of like good death metal and shit, probably around 2005,
Oh,
2006, something.
shit. Okay. Man,
Yeah.
shout out. I used to love those shops. We don't have one around here anymore, but
I don't know
it
if it's
was rad for sure.
Midwest. I don't know. Otherwise,
Yeah. I haven't seen them around. I think there's one in like one of the bigger cities around us, but not at our mall anymore, unfortunately. Now, as far as earlier on, you've told the story as far as seeing Converge and this kind of being like a dawning of hardcore, so to speak, and and heavier music. After that show, where did you kind of find yourself searching for more extreme? Did you find yourself searching for more stuff, maybe even on the same label as Converge? How did that go as far as after that big highlight in music, for you discovering new music?
I mean, yeah, that show kind of blew it open for me as far as wanting to dig deeper for the most extreme and abrasive music that I could find. And I was already digging pretty deep into the subculture at that point and pretty well informed on like other bands in the genre. But that show, I mean, it was one of my favorite shows of all time. It was like a religious experience. It was like 2003, I think. It was Converge, Breathe or Resist, and A Life Once Lost in Richmond, Virginia, in this like small little bar.
Whoa.
But yeah, I think it's one of the only two times I've ever gotten like a crazy bloody nose, because I'm kind of just like an observer. Like I'll be up front or something, but like for the last 15 years, I stand in the back and bed. But I remember that one being pretty fucked up. But yeah, that show, I mean, Converge in general just kind of opened me up to just wanting to find what's the most gross shit that I can possibly find, and all the time.
Yeah. Now, who like did you have school buddies, or how were you getting introduced to like music like Converge, especially at that time, for it being something? Even myself, I kind of grew up more of a thrash guy, more metal, and then slowly kind of digging into more like punk hardcore. How are you discovering hardcore and some of the underground stuff?
I mean, honestly, man, I feel like a lot of dudes my age say like liner notes.
Oh, oh
And
yeah.
just looking through the thank yous and just being like, who's that? That sounds cool. Next time I go to Warehouse Music or wherever the fuck, I'm going to check and see if that. Because, yeah, I mean, it was mostly that. My sister had moved back to Massachusetts and she got in with the Boston hardcore scene there, and she was sending me some stuff and turning me on to some really cool shit at the time. Like Suicide File, actually, I have my sister to thank for that one.
Oh man.
But yeah, I mean, it was kind of just, man, it was liner notes. It was not really my friends. I feel like I was the friend who was always like searching and trying to find the new shit.
Oh, sick.
Like as far as that kind of music under that umbrella is concerned.
Okay.
My all a lot of my close friends were like kind of getting like the gutter punk shit, the Mohawk punk, and I was very much into the metallic side of more. Yeah.
Damn, I love that. I mean, and within kind of that realm, as far as like the Boston scene, did you ever get your hands on the tapes, the Boston Beatdown tapes? Was that ever
Oh
something that was of interest?
yeah, I know all those tapes. I mean, I like a good amount of those bands too and everything. It was there's some shit down there that I really dug. There's some shit that I don't really care for, but I had to. I'm in the right mood. I love that shit for sure.
Now, as far as where does your transition come into, being involved in music? You have a wide variety of music that you're into. You're, finding different things. How do you get involved?
Uh, like just start playing music. Like,
Yeah.
well, my dad played guitar, and he was musical. He played piano. He played guitar. It was just like a hobby for him, but it was something I always loved. He would play for me and my sister as kids. And so my house was always very musical. And then I just always loved it and said I wanted to play. And his cousin actually gave guitar lessons. And yeah, when I was 12, I remember he came to my house and taught me. I remember the first two songs I learned was Bulls on Parade, but the bass line of it, because there's the guitar is just fucking silly.
Okay. Right.
And then Santa Monica by Everclear at the time, I think, was the other one.
Okay.
Off the bat. And then
Yeah.
those are the first ones starting out, and then later on, once I got into like metal, I remember just drilling Cemetery Gates endlessly, like
Oh, yeah.
practicing my pick squeals over and over, like got the solo by the time, you know, eventually I did.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, I just really wanted to be as good as Dimebag at the time. It was like really his guitar style. Yeah, and then I learned how to like tremolo pick and go fast and all that shit. But was that the question? I can't remember. Was that the question?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, taking out, you know, transition into playing yourself. Yeah. Okay, so guitar was kind of your jump into. Did you have anything like were you ever in band or anything like that as far as like having a musical undertaking, or guitar was the first thing jumping into?
Guitar was the first thing. I wanted to play drums, but my parents, like many others, are like, "Fuck no, that's too loud." So
Yeah.
guitar. And I remember my first guitar. I have a picture of it, actually. I got this like a Jackson RG series or something like that, SG series.
Oh, sick.
I'm bad with gear names, terrible type shit. But
Damn. Okay.
I was like very metal guitar player.
That's awesome. I mean, that's sick. I love that too, you know, as far as like just jumping right on in and having somebody like your uncle, you know, or your dad's cousin who, you know, kind of jumps in and shows you a couple of things. Because every once in a while you hear of tutoring and it, you know, really breaks the whole, you know, relationship of somebody with an instrument. But, you know, jumping right in and it's like, hey, let's check out Rage Against the Machine. It's like, oh, that would be where I would be, you know, like completely happy learning a fucking instrument.
Oh, like, I want to learn scales. I don't want to learn theory. That was not. I learned by ear, and that's how I've always been. And so
Okay.
I was like, let's just jump in and get to it. Like I want to know how to play it, so then I can kind of use that as a jumping off point to write my own stuff or like understand how this stuff is kind of constructed. And yeah,
for sure. What about your first band? How does it come about that you end up playing with some other cats and you know, maybe even putting out something as far as a recording? How does that go?
Man, the first band, like I was, you know, fuck. First band was horrible. I'm not like I don't think anybody's proud of their first band.
I agree.
I was 15 and I got asked to join this ska band to be the third guitar player. Third guitar player. And I went to a practice and I realized that was too many. And I'm the new guy and I kind of like blatantly remember suggesting like we need to sign up there. And they my playing it or whatever, I was trying to give them ideas of where we could go. This. And everyone was on board, so I think we went from like a 10-piece to a 6 or 7-piece. And then I kind of moved the band towards like a metallic.
Holy shit!
Yeah.
Damn.
It was pretty. And we practiced in our drummer's basement at his parents' house. You know, all props to them for putting up with that shit. And we had him for a while, then he moved away and I took over and it was just a lot of screaming after that. Just like it was just like a hardcore band with fucking horns. It was insane.
I mean, when you like pitch it like that, I don't know if I could say that would be like the worst thing ever. I mean, I don't know if I can think of anything that's ska with like a straight up like hardcore vocal.
Yeah.
I'm sure it exists somewhere probably.
Sure it does. At least, I mean, maybe now it does. I haven't heard of that. I'm like, yeah, this is cool. Because I did like ska a lot too. Like in high school, it was just like a little period of my life where I was like, oh, I like the ska punk shit. And it was, yeah.
No, that's rad. Now, was this the same band that you played your first show with then? Did you guys play out?
Yeah, we played. I can't remember the first show. It was probably some nothing show at a Mason Hall. I think it was called the Brambleton Teen Center, I think is what it was called.
Oh, okay.
I don't remember who we played with, but our second show, we opened for Catch 22, which was fun. At the time, I was like, wow, that's
Oh
fun.
shit.
Um, yeah. But I remember actually for the first show, I was grounded. I was grounded a lot as a kid. And my mom let me play the show. And,
Oh
and
no.
yeah, like, you have to. And so I just went and played the show, and I paid for it.
Oh no. Oh my God. I mean, where you know where's the line drawn? You know, as we get a little bit older, and you know, and myself becoming a parent, I think back to those times. You know, it's like, boy, oh boy, do you really hate your kids for telling themselves, you know what, fuck this, I'm gonna go out and do this and take the lashing. You know, if that's gonna be what the consequence is. You
I think it's
can't.
sick. Yeah, it's passion in someone. You know, you have to
Yeah.
that, and I think it's yeah, I think it's really important, and I think it's dope that you're like, no, you can't. Like that's how it should be, in my opinion.
You know,
Not
it's funny because I now have nephews that are in, you know, a punk band, and they've kind of been talking to me about just about finishing high school and, you know, what to do college, and they've been picking up, you know, more and more shows around here and talking about like, you know, we'd kind of like to travel with the band. It's like, dude, go travel. Like, go and live a little bit. If that's something that you want to do and you guys are having a good time and they're solid,
yeah.
why not? You know, like I'm not going to sit here and deter you. Fuck that. If anything, that'll just kind of course you to where you'll make your own decision on going to college or doing whatever it is that you want to do. But at least, you know, you have somebody who's like, go do it.
Let them out on them on their own. You know, I think
Yeah.
figure not to be told like, don't do this, do this. Like fuck that. Just let them find it. You know.
Yep. Yep. I agree. I totally agree. Now, you know, as far as your process and, you know, playing maybe that first show up until recently and playing shows, how do you come about as far as your prep, you know, for before a show and kind of centering yourself? Do you do a lot of practicing? Do you do a lot of stretching? Do you have anything, you know, vocally versus guitar wise that you kind of you do individually?
Man, no. I mean, I used to drink a lot, so that would help, but I don't do that anymore.
Okay.
And I think I don't play a lot of shows either. Like I really, it's once in a blue moon. Like Compassion played our last show last summer. You know,
Oh shit.
when I do, especially nowadays, I'm kind of realizing like I should do breathing exercises because I'm not the guy who's like foaming at the mouth to be on stage. I'm the one that's like, okay, fuck, I agreed to do this. Get up there, gotta go. You know, like
Okay.
I have stage fright. I do, which is funny with my profession. It's people have made fun of me about that, but I do, and so
Whoa.
yeah, I have trouble with it, and especially with Compassion being like fronting it. I've never fronted before, so that shit was yeah. I mean, it's fun. I enjoy it once I'm in it, but it's just the all that
The build
anticipation
up.
drives me. Yeah.
I
Mhm.
mean, what about within acting then? I mean, as far as having to take on, you know, uh, auditions and that seems like it's kind of its own hell in itself.
Oh yeah. I mean, I've gotten so much better at that over the years. I mean, it was there was times I went into the audition room and like the waiting room to go into audition, and I would go to the bathroom and like dry heave, or you know, I would be so nervous because it was just the anxiety was too much. It's been a lot of self tapes now since the pandemic, so you only tape and send a tape and you don't go in the room anymore or anything like that.
Oh,
Uh,
really? Okay.
but it's weird because so auditions I don't have that nervousness anymore. Those nerves aren't there. I would say when I get a job, I'm nervous. The anticipation, like going, like being in the trailer and then going to set, and then like not yet meeting the director or your co-stars and being like, I'm gonna fuck this up. Like I'm not gonna get the accent right. I'm gonna fuck. It's gonna be horrible. And then just I just drop in, man. It's like it just happens, and that's kind of how I like
Hmm.
feel like I'm on the right path in my life. Is that it just smooths out, and I just fucking I don't know. Yeah, let's drop in.
Sick.
Yeah.
No, I love that. I mean, it's cool to hear all of these things, just as far as, especially, I mean, like music wise, I can kind of relate, just as far as like having played in bands and different things, but being able to talk to people who are actors or directors or, costume design, anything in film. I've been such a fan for such a long time that, it's really cool to kind of hear the insights and ins and outs as far as, how this shit goes. So that's awesome. And, I mean, to hear anybody, kind of say like, nah, this isn't, like, ice cream and cookies and all of the wonderful things that you initially think. You have to really put your mind into this for sure.
Absolutely. Yeah, I would say it's less ice cream and more.
I don't know where I got that from. I don't. I feel like it was something I heard maybe earlier on my one of my daughter's shows talking about amazing things that sounded dumb. So I can edit that out or what.
Analogy.
All right, so compassion. So this I can't remember if it was the demo or if it was S.W.A.T that I initially got introduced to your work as far as musically. But I wanted to dig into compassion. You've done a couple of things kind of talking with S.W.A.T, and I do dig that. But as far as compassion and your thing, being the vocalist, doing guitars on this, where does this, this band initially, come as far as, kind of to fruition from idea?
Honestly, it was. I wanted to put it in like this for a long time, and when I lived in Florida. I tried to start kind of like I don't know, a power balance band, I guess, down there, and we had one for a little bit, and just things they would always fizzle out, and I wanted to do one for a long time, and that one band was 2010. And when I moved to New York in 2012, I kind of sold all my shit. I was like, I'm gonna go do film. I'm not music's like done for now, and just like got rid of everything. And yeah, I didn't play music for a while, and then my ex-girlfriend bought me a guitar for Christmas because I had said that I wanted to start playing again, and they bought me a guitar that Christmas, and it just lit something in me again to start doing something and writing. And I remember I wrote like the first 2 or 3 songs of the demo, and I was looking for a drummer. I knew the one drummer in Brooklyn that I knew that would like be into this shit. His name's Morgan. Uh, I remember I saw him play, and he played at Brooklyn, and I just hit him up and I was like, "Hey man, I know you're really busy and you're like you really don't have the time probably, but I'm trying to start this band, and I feel like you would be able to, I don't know, step up and meet what I'm trying to do here." And he's like, I don't think I can, man. I don't know. Send me the riffs. I don't know. And I sent them to him, and he was like, all right, yeah, I'm in. Let's do it. And I was like, okay, sick.
Sick.
Yeah, that was 2019, and we wrote the demo. We started writing the demo in April 2019, and finished it out in August. Yeah.
And what about the cover art on this bad boy? You pull this up and you're flipping through some records. It's gonna stop you and it's gonna look and make you wonder what the fuck is going on. So,
Yeah.
If I can ask the man behind it, what is going on?
Honestly, dude, I don't know where this image comes from. I love this image. I've seen it for years, and it always was so fucking unsettling to me. And I always use it. I was like, I can't. It's not like a record cover. It's good for a demo because it's a photo that exists out there in the ether, right? But like, I've been wanting to use it for a long time, and I just love that imagery because it just the story behind it could go so many different ways. And so yeah, that was basically I just loved how unsettling it felt, and I felt like it caught music too.
I love it. It's funny is like it for whatever reason makes me think. Have you ever seen Exorcist 3, the third one?
Actually, I've never seen Exorcist 3. No, I've only seen the.
Okay. So there's this one scene where it like takes place in like a hospital, like a mental asylum of some sort. And it's like a pretty like notable scene for the movie or whatever, but this nurse is kind of going in and out of like the one room, and as she's exiting, there's like this like ghost like figure with these huge shears that is just like chasing right behind her, and it's like this really loud sound and it zooms in fast. For whatever reason, ever since seeing that cover, it makes me think of like this scene in this movie just of all hell breaking loose in this fucking mental asylum and or hospital of
I would
sorts.
say
For
there's
sure.
a relation to that, what you
Little
just
tie.
told me about, to that part.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So we have the opening track is No by Mouth. If you can, dig in a little bit as far as the writing for this track, what can you tell us about this?
I mean, that was the first song I wrote. I remember being like, this is too crazy. Like, I remember just like, our structure and when I was playing, I was like, this feels like too much. I need to simplify this. And then I was trying to make it simpler. I don't know why. I just feel like sometimes the way I've always wrote is that just shit's too crazy. It's like too much stuff at once. And it always like, just make it a little bit more like kind of take from the punk ethos and, or the, punk structure and just make it simple. And I just decided to go against that and just go with my gut of what I was writing. And yeah, I don't know. That was the first song I wrote. I don't know. I was listening to a lot of fucking Sex Prisoner at the time. I think it's in there somewhere. I don't know. It was
Oh, yeah.
yeah. I don't know what else to say about it, really, but it was the first one that I wrote.
That's sick. I mean, that's kind of like the thing too that you mentioned, especially with like power violence, where there's a lot of times of you can kind of tell where something could have gone crazy, it could have been absolutely wild, and then you just kind of strip it down, and it almost like gives another layer of heavy, just because you're like, oh god, there's like more room to breathe. I don't know if that makes sense or not, especially over
Yeah.
blasts. Jesus.
Oh, yeah. I think on our actual record, I think we really utilized that more.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, yeah, and one last track on this, and an absolute radical title with Wet Thud. What can you tell us about this absolutely disgusting track?
I haven't even listened to this shit in a while, so I'm trying to like remember how the song goes. Honestly, I remember this one mostly because we recorded this demo. It was July 2019, and we recorded in our practice space with no AC and no windows or ventilation, and we were playing in our underwear because we were sweating so hard. And actually, the dude who brought his shit over to record in our space, his computer overheated and like shut off.
Oh shit!
But I remember this track specifically being the hardest to play. I played bass on the demo as well, and I remember just being like fighting. I remember this track really fucking with me, and like my hands being so sweaty, and just keep fucking up this track over and over. It was the hardest one to get down, actually, recording wise, I think.
Jesus.
But yeah, it was a gnarly recording day. There's apartment.
Oh shit!
Mm-hmm.
Excuse me, dear Lord.
Good, bro. You're good. You getting over your shit, dog.
If anything, maybe the Wet Thud was, from like you guys peeling off your clothes and throwing them over into the corner, and that's what it was.
The song is about Wet Thud comes from the sound when you hit somebody in the head with a pipe or something like that. It's basically
shit.
Out, I don't like to break down the meaning too much, but it was just basically about basically torturing someone that I know that sexually assaulted someone that I love. So that's what that was about.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, we won't go too much further, but touche. All right, I can dig it. All right, Pacing Animal. So we have the second release from you guys. This was 2021, correct?
Pacing Animal? That was last year.
Last year, okay, 2022. All right, beautiful. Now we have initially the demo, 7 tracks. We have the new release here. This was the release that was on Convulse, right? Or was the demo on Convulse too?
No, Practice Hatred put that out for us on tape.
And also Heaters, Practice Hatred. Shout out to them.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And then also RS Records Germany put out the split we did with Split Open, our demo, and put it on an LP with Split Open from Canada as well.
Oh shit! Really?
Mm-hmm.
Was that a 12-inch?
Yep. That was
I've
put out.
Never heard this.
20, I think. Maybe the end of 2019. Around
No
that.
shit.
Mm-hmm.
Oh damn, I'm gonna have to check that out. I've never heard it.
Yeah, yeah.
Fuck.
Demo,
Sweet.
demo on the record, you know. So.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay,
yeah,
got you. Well,
yeah.
I mean, that's still sick though. As far as the physical collectors, you know what I'm saying? All the cats out here, just tossing shit off to the side to have it, with other records.
Us,
Well, let me ask you now. Do you collect a lot of records, or do you have a lot of records?
no, man. I did for a long time, and I was starting to again in 2020. But then I moved from New York, and my stuff's in storage, and I haven't been buying records for a while. And it's just kind of a thing where I'm such a minimalist. I don't like clutter, and I'm
Especially with moving.
really want that, you know. So I
Yeah.
support other ways of buying music or merch or whatever it may be, but I don't really buy records or collect them much anymore.
Well, it's funny, and where I come, with asking that is with how many people that I do know that just religiously collect and have closets full and fucking rooms dedicated and never touch the
No.
shit ever.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, then why do you have it? I mean, yeah, it's cool that you have the first press of whatever the fucking thing from 1996, but it's like you've never played it. Like, what's the point? That's like having an instrument. And it's like it just sits there in the corner. Like, that's never made sense to me. Like, just sell the shit if you're not gonna use it.
I feel that way about most collecting, honestly, but I also do get it. And I do have friends that have massive collections that spin records every day, and so like those people, I'm like, okay, cool. Like I know there's people out there that do that.
Mm-hmm.
I think I just got tired of, I always told myself, I'm like, if I get filthy fucking rich, I'm just gonna buy all the ones that I want, like all at once, and they go shut out in my garage or something. That's fine. But I don't need clutter. I just don't.
Yeah, yeah. I think as even like some of because I mean I'm like a big movie like collector too, and as I've gotten a little bit older, there's been kind of things where I'm like, I can part ways with this, and I think it's the clutter aspect of things, where I'm just like, I just need less shit. Like I don't need all of this stuff,
I used to collect fucking VHS tapes, and I had 360 something VHS tapes when I lived in. And my whole wall was just VHS tapes, and when I left, like, what do I do with these? And it's like, you fucking leave them in Florida. You don't take them to New York.
Right.
But I get it. I used to do it. I think as I'm older, I just don't care as much.
Yeah,
to be honest.
For sure. Okay. As far as Pacing Animal, a couple of tracks here I wanted to kind of dig into if we could, or at least just kind of what comes to memory.
Sure.
Was Vile Glow and then Pacing Animal. Pacing Animal, especially that track. Toward the end, you have it get slower into the ass beater and then comes back into the fucking blast. Oh Jesus!
Ass beating riff over the blast. Yeah.
Gnarly.
Yeah. Again, Vile Glow was the first song that I for the record. It was June 2020, and I was escaping New York because of quarantine, and me and my ex were in a studio apartment for 4 months, and I was like, we gotta get the fuck out of here for a little bit. And I got an Airbnb out here in LA and brought my guitar, and I was like, I gotta start writing new shit, and that was the first one. Well, the bones of it anyway. And yeah, it's the first one we put together. It's like I don't really know how to break down the tracks, to be honest with you. Like my brain doesn't really work like that, I guess. But I just wanted it to be, I wanted it to feel more like a punk record on this one, I think, as opposed to the demo. And I think we achieved that, especially like, I think the production, we went to Sasha Stroud, who does mostly punk stuff, like punk rock records in Brooklyn. And I think that comes across that it has more of like a punk hardcore kind of production than metal.
Yeah, totally.
It's gross and, rough. But Pacing Animal was, I think originally the breakdown thing, I think it was just like a regular breakdown, but I was like, this is boring. And I remember playing it in practice, and I was like, no, try it. And I just said, you just try a blast, I want to try something. And we're like, oh shit, there it is. That worked. You know, and we were both
Sick.
really into that track. Because we think that track and Faulty Wire are maybe our best structurally sound tracks, I think.
Oh yeah, shit. Okay. Now, did you guys have like a different studio setup as far as for this go around, or did you guys still like record in?
Ventilation and AC and windows. And, no, we went to an actual recording studio for that one.
Okay.
And it was over.
Okay.
I mean, I was out here for work a lot, and I was back and forth from October to March out here. So we would like write stuff, and I go away. I bring my guitar every time so I can write new songs, and it's a pain in the ass to just always fucking bring my guitar with me on the plane every time I come. But I was determined to get it done, and yeah, it was kind of like a Frankenstein record, and I was so pleased with how it came out and the response to it, because I think it's for everybody, right? You finish something fucking. And I wish that maybe we put more tracks on it, and we did have actually 2 other tracks, but I scrapped them because they just didn't guitar. And instead of like or studio time, I was like, fuck it. It's gonna be an 8-track fucking record. It's gonna be long, and I don't give it. It's fine. Just want it to be. That's what it is, you know.
Damn. So, okay. Now, did you guys completely scrap those 2 other tracks then?
Yeah, scrapped. Done.
Oh shit. Okay. Yeah. I mean, that's. Do you guys have anything as far as like, are you writing more stuff? I hate saying that out of like this just came out this last year, and I feel like the pandemic is kind of like the source of that, because then people kind of feel like that was such a long time. But has there been talks, I should say, as far as you guys doing some things shows wise or anything?
Yeah, there's been talks. It's just tough with me out here, and it's tough to schedule with my job. It's just really hard to. You just don't. Like, the next day I could have something come up and be gone for a month, and it fucks with whatever we've had planned. I mean, that's happened in the past, I think it's something we want to do. I have to remember to play the songs. I haven't played them since. But yeah, I think it's like something. I always said I wouldn't. If we're gonna play like our the show we played last year was we opened for fucking Hatred Surge, Scapegoat, and Iron Lung, and like that to me was like the kind of shows that I want to play, because I'm picky. I'm just a picky guy when it comes to what I attach anything I do to.
Man.
So I think it's like if the right opportunity came along, I can't really want to tour. It's not something I really have an interest in doing anymore. And but I think do a festival in Japan, then we can, and we know we can do it. Then I'll go to New York and we'll spend 2 weeks remembering this shit, and we'll go. It's things like that. It needs to be kind of on a grand scale for me to want to do anything.
Yeah.
But as far as writing, I haven't. I picked up my guitar for the first time in a while. I just go through phases, man, where like I wrote that record. It took a lot out of me to write that shit over a good amount of time, and my focus is on other things in life. And but I took up my guitar recently because I joined this other new band out here. Derek from World Peace hit me up to play bass in this new band out here.
Oh shit! Really?
Yeah, and that's been fun. We're playing our first show the 17th of June, opening up for Iron Lung and Brain Tourniquet, and World Peace is playing there too. So
what band is this?
It's called Kevlar Upper. It's kind of like, it's just very menacing, kind of early Youth Attack, fast punk shit.
Oh.
Yeah.
That sounds sick.
Yeah. So, but what I love about that is that they're like, I just play bass, and I just look not, I don't have to do anything. I play bass.
Yeah.
And I love that. So, I've been taking out my guitar to just like practice bass to have it in my head,
Shit.
But Yeah, I mean, Compassionate, I do want something to happen eventually. I just don't know when. It's hard to say when, you know.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, yeah, I mean, just out of, a fan of the band, and like I say, I kind of hate putting out there like, oh, you guys recording anything new? Because I hate, being that, but I meant just more or less, I guess out of like playing shows or kind of booking anything. But, things are crazy nowadays, just in general, kind of everything's more back to normal now. But, it's like when you have a busy work schedule or even something, anybody who's working, 40 hours a week, trying to figure something out as far as shows and shit. Shit gets busy for sure.
Absolutely. Absolutely. No,
So, as far as film, sorry, let's buffer it out a second. As far as film, so I want to kind of, like start from, with earlier interests. Your father, once again, from my understanding, was somebody who was a big inspiration and somebody that was, big into film as you were growing up. And you've mentioned, movies like Stand by Me, kind of being something like a pinnacle at a young age. And what were other movies that kind of stood out to you, at an early age, and maybe even movies that you're watching that as you got older you realized weren't for kids at all?
that was most, and yeah, I mean, Stand By Me was a huge one. Anything with, honestly, like, I was a huge Phoenix Corey Feldman head as a kid. I thought they were, because they were kids and they were acting, and I was like, fuck, that's so cool. And so like Stand By Me, The Goonies, The Lost Boys, which is, still one of my favorite movies of all time. I'm gonna go see it actually Saturday. They're showing it at the Cinespia. They do like in the cemetery or whatever, show movies out here, and you go in.
Holy shit! What?
Yeah, so that'll be cool. Yeah, that, and then like, what other ones come to mind? Like when I was a kid, I mean, Terminator 2. I think that was a huge. And I remember like, yeah, maybe, 6 years old watching that movie, or 7 maybe. But those are the ones that come to mind. I can't think of any others beyond that. But yeah.
Oh man, I love that. Now, as far as like, was your dad, was he the one who was kind of introducing you into horror and some of those like realms as far as film?
No, he is not a horror fan.
No.
That's something I found on my own.
Okay.
Oh, how? I think it was probably The Lost Boys. That was like my first intro to that, as far as I can remember. The horror aspect in at all.
Mm-hmm.
And then I've never been like an enormous horror head, but I think even in my youth I wasn't. But as I've gotten older, I actually get more into it. I actually put on horror movies for comfort when I'm hanging out at home. Like, I just feel like, yeah, that works. How's the wax? We'll just put that hang out. That's cool.
Okay.
But I think another big one was Demon, the Tales from the Crypt movie. That was a huge one for me.
Oh yeah.
And the soundtrack was a gateway thing too. Like, I think in 7th grade, I got that soundtrack. And it was actually, there was a video store near my school. I used to go and buy, like, they had free posters, and sometimes they'd put CDs in there that was like, not even in cases, just like fucking random CDs that were, just tossed in. And one of them was the Demon Knight soundtrack. And I remember grabbing it and not knowing what was on it or anything. I was like, this is so fucking cool. And then I had to see the movie after that. And the movie, my stepdad had us for the day or something, and I got him to rent it for us, and we were watching it.
Oh no!
Yeah. Movie. Yeah.
That rules. I love just now, as far as horror, was that something to where, like, in your household, that it was not something like looked upon, or it was like, we're not gonna have you, like, maybe even censored? Was that something to where, like, it wasn't really, your parents weren't wanting you to watch, or was it just more of a thing to where they just weren't into the genre?
Yeah, no, they just weren't into the genre.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, especially. But I would say it was always, even I watched a lot of questionable things as a kid, for sure. But my mother still cared so deeply about parental advisory stickers or shit. Music was the things that we censor in the house, you know.
Okay.
Yeah, and but movies, not really most of the time. I'd just be like,
Huh.
I think there was a couple things. I remember actually because I love Demon Knight, I wanted to see Bordello of Blood in the theater, and they wouldn't let me see it. I was like 13, I think, when that came out or something. And they let me see it in the theater, but they said if I, what was it? I did good in school in a semester or some shit, I could rent it when it came out or something. And it came out on tape on the day, and so I did all right, I guess. And first day, and I just remember my mother being like, "Why? You should the fucking, you know, brothel of vampires." It's crazy.
Oh shit, that's awesome. Every once in a while, some of the fun memories we think of, the good ideas that we had, where it's like, oh, can't I just rent this movie? And then you're watching an orgy in front of your parents. You're like, oh, what did I do?
Uncomfortable feeling when you're watching any kind of sex scene or something. But I did see grandfather. That was pretty crazy.
Oh shit.
He fell asleep, and I was just there with my 18-year-old self or something, just like in awe of what was happening in that movie.
What's going on? Yeah, you ain't lying, Jesus. Now, how do you break into acting initially from your interest? This kind of goes along with music. You have the interest initially, and then you end up taking it on. How does something like this now? Acting is that you're just out of my realm completely. Where is something where you end up stepping into it?
Delusion at first, I don't know. It was something that I have felt this innate drive, or for lack of a better fucking word, calling about since I was like 5. I remember just watching movies like I mentioned and being like, I want to do that. That's something I think I can do that. And I just never, I wasn't like, the person I wasn't the kid in school who was like, I'm gonna go to drama class. I was like, drama's for nerds, because I was like skating and just started smoking weed and listening to punk, and I was like, nah, I'm not doing drama class, fuck that. And it was more about the status quo for me, I guess, at the time, being impressionable, but always deep down, like, that's what I loved more than anything. And my favorite book when I was in 3rd grade was Roger Ebert's Top 500 Movie Reviews. Like, it was a thick book, and it would just like go and highlight actors, directors, and just his notes about film. And I was just obsessed with it. And then I kind of killed that dream dead, man. I was like, that's never gonna happen. It's not tangible. And yeah, I just kind of fucked off for a long time. And I had a pretty sketchy past, and came up out of the ashes and fixed my life and all this shit. But it wasn't until I was 27 that I decided to go to work in film, and not even as an actor. I was like, oh, I want to work in film, but maybe it's just crew side, and the acting thing's never, that's just not, it's just a dream, it's a pipe dream, it's not going to happen, it's too hard. And so I moved to New York from Jacksonville, Florida, in 2012, and I started trying to work in crew as a PA, and I went from PAing to working in different departments, and I was trying everything, being like, maybe it's this one, and it wasn't any of them, and I was like, fuck, it's acting. Fuck, God, it's gonna be so hard. I don't know how I'm gonna do this, but I just have to do it. And I left crew, and I went and back to bartending, and was just trying to figure it out. And it took a while. I mean, it's a fucking treacherous road, man, to try and do this shit. It's crazy. Like, even on the days where I'm like, I'm not where I want to be in my career, whatever it may be, I step back and go, Jesus Christ, like, it's okay. Like, I can't believe this shit has happened, honestly.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, I mean, so, and most recently, and kind of with, shows like Barry or shows like Entourage, and just somebody who's completely detached from the whole like process, what are things that are going on in these shows that are absolute reality of, when you're going and kind of getting into these different things as far as auditions and just kind of the, almost monotonous kind of beating yourself over the head with hope and then fucking just having to, face reality over, different parts.
Yeah, dude, it's blunt force rejection. And that's like what this is. It's like you have to, it thickens your skin or it doesn't, and you fucking get washed out. And it's really just about uh, perseverance. Like I truly believe that it's just like, just don't give up. Like just don't
Mm,
happen. Like I believe that, and I also think that there has to be a modicum of progression every year that you're seeing in some shape or form. I feel like if you're not for years, like a decade, I don't know. Not saying don't give up on don't give up on your dreams, but for me that would not work.
right.
But yeah, I mean all the audition stuff, like you see it in TV. I mean, some of it's realistic. It depends on which ones we're talking about, but
Mm,
nerves are always really high. I mean, when I used to go into, now it's just rent a studio. You go in there with a reader and you do your thing. There's no cast director or anybody staring at you. That's the one with the potential job. And I've kind of gotten really accustomed to self like them more, and I harnessed myself because I used to do too many at once, and it would just be like driving this shit into the ground to where it was like not feeling real, or it was like planned, or you get stuck in a place. And yeah, I'm in a really good place now where I'm like, yeah, that was good. We're good. Let's move on. And you have to get to that though, because
yeah.
there's just an endless amount of reasons why job and trying to find every angle to, overcome that. You think no rhyme or reason to this shit. Just fucking do what you think was the best and what felt right, and move on. Hopefully.
Now, what was this first role that you end up landing as far as when you're taking on, acting and finally kind of jumping in? What are you, wetting your toes, so to speak, with?
I mean, I always just count the first role, first television role for me is just that's when it started to move. I don't really count the short films or student films or whatever you have to do to build a reel, to find representation, all that stuff. It's kind of just getting your foot wet. But I would say like, even my first TV role was nothing. It was 2 lines. I won't say nothing. That was wrong. It was small.
Mhm.
It was lines, and it was on that show The Deuce on HBO, and I was ecstatic. I couldn't believe it. I was like, I'm gonna be on HBO. Fucking crazy. My feelings have changed and what I want for my career, and what I just myself. Um, but that was the first TV job I did, and then there was like a good amount of jobs after that, and then I think from 2016, summer 2016 to spring 2017, I had 6 jobs. One was my first guest star, which means like you're one of the main villains on the episode or something like that, right? And then I decided to stop taking the smaller roles, and I didn't have a job for oh,
Oh
um,
shit.
that was uh, really hard. But yeah, man, thinking it out. I don't know. It's like I just feel like I can't stop, and this is what drives me, and this is what I feel I want to do without sounding like an asshole. But that's how I feel about it. So I just keep doing it, and thankfully, it's working in some
Yeah,
regards. Yeah.
yeah, for sure. I mean, now in your initial like positions, prior to acting, did you have some sort of like a management or backing that you kind of, when you made that transition, made it a little bit easier, or how did that whole thing go, or
Oh
do
no,
you just
you
not have?
know, for me, like even to get a manager, the way a lot of actors go about it is you or these sites like Actors Access or Backstage, and you go get headshots, hopefully not too shitty, and you upload them to the file, and you put the nothing on your resume because you don't have really. You hope that people like your picture enough to reach out, and you submit yourself to all these projects that you think you might be right for these roles, and hope for the best. And that's for student films and short films and whatever else, you know.
Shit.
And once you do that, and then you do enough of those things to get hopefully the footage that you did, which a lot of times, which happened to me, is that I would do a project and then they would never finish it. They would never do anything with it, and I couldn't get the footage, so I'd be like, waste fucking time. So I have to find something else, and you hope you get enough to put a reel. And my first reel was horrible. I mean, it was like, I don't know, 2 things, maybe 3 things. And I got lucky in the way that I was bartending at this place in Brooklyn, and this guy I worked with, he mentioned, said that he was an actor too, and he said that he thought his manager would like me and to reach out to him, and I did. And then he did sign me, and I started going into like very legit casting offices and getting very close to things, but didn't book for, I don't know, a year and a half. It would be like, you're so close, you're in the mix, it's between you and another guy, and just never ever get it because I didn't have credits. And it's just like this kind of catch-22 where you're like, okay, but the way I get credits is if you give me one. So but yeah, that's that. And now I've been with 4 agencies, and I've been with my second manager now for almost 8 years. So
I mean, and I'm just thinking of too, you know, I mean, with you mentioning like, because you said you didn't go like to college or anything like that, or acting school or anything, you know, in regards to, was there anything like initially as far as like taking on blocking and just, you know, pacing of shots to where initially you kind of had to have like a crash course from somebody, or was that from like the short films and different things that you had to take that on the job training?
Yeah, I think you learn on at work, but I did take a class when I didn't go to school. I didn't do it. I just, you know, I didn't do any theater in high school or anything, like I said. Very, very foreign to me, but also I felt like I understood it because I would just study actors watching movies my whole life. But I took a class when I first got to New York, and I took one and then I didn't like it, and I went to this other one, and I liked it because I love the people in it, and they're still some of my best friends to this day. And I learned just certain things about auditioning and stuff like that. And but I think a lot of what I've really learned that's helped me the most is just, yeah, being at work and learning from other actors I work with. And I've always felt that is the most I don't know, beneficial.
Sure.
For
Okay. So how and when do you get introduced to the show Barry, which I got to say has to be one of my favorite. It's actually something to where I wasn't introduced to until, you know, kind of doing the research and us talking. And I've stopped myself from like going through and watching every fucking episode. Like I've told myself I'm only going to watch an episode a day just because I don't want to, like, I don't want it to end.
Yeah.
I don't want it to stop.
Binge. I actually, before the season ended, I went and just binged it all again because I just was like, I love this show. I just want to watch it all again. And then when the new season starts, to get back into it. Yeah, I think it's one of the best shows of all time. And when it aired in 2018, I think, and I was obsessed with it. And in my head, I was like, I'm gonna be on this fucking show. Before the show's over, I'm gonna be on this fucking show. And I don't say that about a lot of shows because I know how this fucking business works and how things are. But I just was like, I'm gonna be on this show because I feel like I fit in this world. And in every season, I would ask my reps, is there anything? And they'd be like, well, there's this guy, he says one thing. I'm like, no, that's not, because I wanted to hold out for something that was like a role, you know, like a meteor thing. And every season I would check and there was nothing. 3 seasons. I'd be like, fuck. And then I remember seeing the listing for this role, and I hit up my agent. I was like, you get on this right now, like right now. And I've booked me 3 times before, so they're already a fan of me. Like, hit them up right now. I gotta get this tape. I know this. I will get this fucking job. I promise. And and I just want, I don't know, it's funny too, because the ones that you really want, you usually don't get. That's just not, it's just how it works, you know, you just don't get them.
Yeah.
And so I was like, I did the tape and I sent it in and I try to let it go, and I'm really good about just letting things go. But that one I was like, fuck. Man, I know that role is for me. I know it. Yeah. And I just, like, again, I don't think like that. I don't. Unless you have like just such a gut feeling, you know? And I remember I was going to ask my agent to check in like 4 days later, which is like way too soon. You usually gotta wait a week and then maybe they'll check in. And as I was sending the email, he called me and he told me that I got the job, and I like jumped out of my
Oh my God.
flipping out because they're like, Bill Hader's directing it, and I was like, holy shit, like, and I was just so excited to even be a part of that canon, you know, like it's a historical show in my opinion, and yeah, I'm so grateful, and it was like one I've had working on.
It is fucking great, man. I honestly like I've heard the name and it just wasn't ever something that came across my horizons, but I literally have like stopped myself from binging the whole thing just because I'm like, I don't want this to end in fucking 2 days and then I have to go back and maybe watch it in a couple of weeks or something. Like
Sure,
I
man,
want to
marinate, you know, like it is.
yeah, yeah.
I'm with it because it's gonna end. You know, it's up to get to the end, it's over.
Yeah,
So just
right.
take, yeah.
It is
Instead of
it is absolutely sick. I mean, so bring us back to that first day of you going on set. You know, did you have was there multiple days that you ended up shooting as far as for over the span? Was it two or three episodes that you were on?
I did 2 episodes, but the second episode wasn't supposed to happen. This was supposed to be just a one episode guest star, and originally I went to rehearsal for. You haven't watched my episode, right? You haven't.
I have.
Oh, you
This,
do.
it's kind of weird. So I watched up until I see you,
Oh,
and then I stopped because I didn't want to go any further. And
oh,
I went back. I'm completely ass backwards with this
oh
dude,
wow.
but I'm in love with it.
Fun to jump. It's crazy using for you right now, but the bathroom scene was first that, and you know, that was a day. It was like okay, this is a sexually violent scene, and there was an intimacy coordinator, and it was like my first time meeting Sarah and Bill, and it was kind of like, hey, they're like, everybody, this is Spenser. All right, let's rehearse this thing, and yeah, we just got along really well. And after that too, I didn't realize there was going to be a table read, and we walked back to the offices in the Sony lot, and we did a table read. Just got along really well. I hung out with them for a little bit, and then the next day, my people called me and they said, Bill wants to bring you back for another episode. And I was like, oh shit, how? With this character? Wait, how? I don't understand with this character. How are they going to do that? And they're like, well, there's a caveat to it. Like, he wants you to come back, and you're going to be like the shadow figure, and he wants the audience to think that it's your character from the previous episode, but he doesn't want them to know if it is, but he wants you to play it. And I was like, oh yeah, I'll do it, because any more time hanging out with him and Duffy and Sarah, like on that set, I was like, yeah, sign me up. That's totally cool. It was dope that he's even thought about just bringing me back for that. I could have anybody in that fucking suit, you know? So,
So sick.
it was, I mean, I'm honestly probably my favorite job I've done, and just kind of a unicorn of a set and how it's run, and the kind of the energy and the demeanor of everybody on that set. Everybody's just like happy, and yeah, it was great, man. It was awesome.
And you know, like my relativity to to Bill Hader has always been the humor and has always been. I've seen him in serious roles, but there's just like a weight to this character and to the show in general. Where there's so much comedic relief and even small things, just little small dialogue where
Oh yeah,
if you're not paying attention, it'll go right fucking by you. But like listening and actually listening is hilarious and
oh
is like bar none.
yeah. People were like, "Oh, it's such a dark show." I'm like, "There's so much comedic nuance in this show. I have to be like laser focused on it. Time. You're
Yeah,
um,
yeah,
but it's
absolutely.
genius for that, in my opinion. Absolutely.
So, I mean, as far as Bill as a director, does he utilize some of that? As far as like I want to say his personality, but how do you feel as far as your opportunity, with working with him, and having that different aspect of being able to work with him on film?
I mean, I was such a huge fan already, and what I loved about working with Bill is that he play and he will just feed you notes on like what to do. Like he wants to see something different while you're in it, and he just every take he ends it by giggling, like his giggle. Like every take he would end by giggling. You're like, oh, cool, I did a good job. Like that's how it makes you feel. And he was a great director, man. I think it's always amazing when you're being directed by an actor. It's a different entity, it's a different
Oh,
experience.
yeah, I never thought about that. Okay.
Yeah, very different. I direct a few actors, and it's always great. But yeah, he was just so open to collaboration too, which was amazing. Like I remember uh, the scene where Sally and I are sitting at the table, and originally Bevel was supposed to be drinking a beer, and I went over to Bill and was like, hey man, I feel like since he is this basically like child, this little boy who's masquerading as this badass, I think he should be drinking chocolate milk. And Bill was like, I don't, and he sent somebody out and like Nesquik, and I was like, can I have a straw? And he was like, oh, it's even yeah, straw. So, so open to that, and that was really fucking cool, Um, yeah, yeah, awesome, awesome.
That was gonna be my next question, was where the fuck did this chocolate milk come from? That is awesome.
Came from, yeah, man. I was just like, I don't think it's beer, man. I don't.
Oh shit. No kidding. Okay, so there was another thing that I don't know if you had posted it or something, maybe Bill had posted, or the show Instagram, some sort of socials, about a fake cock. Did I miss this in the episode?
No, it didn't make it. Uh, my first day, I had a costume fitting, and they told me that there was gonna be like a big bulge that I'd be showing through my pants, and okay. And so they fit me for several fake dicks, and it was the most awkward fitting I've ever had. We were all laughing and shit. It was very, and yeah, I think and then we picked one, and we're like, yeah, this will work. And Bill was like, you know what? We don't need to see it. He's like, we know what's happening. He's like, just put it. He's like, basically on the day he said, ask her for her foot, and that's how we're gonna know that she's like feels how his dick is or some shit. And I was like,
okay.
I love that, but I still had to do the fake dick. So.
I don't know where I saw that, and I was kind of prepping myself for the episode, and I'm like, oh, okay, I don't know what was going on. It's still, I mean, it's still rough in its own right, but
oh yeah, no, absolutely. I think it's better. It fits the show better than show a bulge or a dick or something,
It leaves to the imagination. Just a classic film move, you prep your mind into all these dark places. It can go even darker. Shit.
Ooh,
Dude, it is absolutely incredible. I am loving the show here. Without yourself kind of digging into things, obviously there's material you can't release. Do you have different other things that you're working on right now, or things in film that you got coming up that you can talk about?
Well, right now is a weird time in the industry because the writer's strike has been happening for a while now.
Oh shit, I forgot about that. Yeah, right.
That's kind of slowed a lot of things down, and like with good reasons, for the greater good. It
Totally.
But because of that, there's also now potential actor strike that's happening because the industry is just in a really fucked up place, and it needs to be it needs a giant overhaul, and it has for some time, and people are being royally fucked all the time, left and right, and it needs to change. So it sucks because as actors or anybody in this industry, we're like, well, I need to fucking work, but I also support this, and this needs to happen. So it is. It's for the greater good, like I said. But yeah, I did an Apple series. I just wrapped that in March. I was directed by Ridley Scott, so that was fucking amazing.
Wait, what was that?
It's this new show coming out called Sinking Spring. It'll be out. I don't know when,
Oh shit. Okay.
so I don't know if it'll be out at the end of the year. I'm not sure. That was
Damn.
so for sure working with him. Um, and then I have two movies. We're going the festival route right now. There's one called La Casina that I shot in Mexico City last year for 3 months, and it's basically a movie that takes place in a kitchen in New York City, black and white, surreal world. Rooney Mara is the lead in it.
Oh, wow.
That's really cool. And what else? Fuck. Yeah, yeah, I think that's it. And then just auditioning for whatever I can right now because it's so. I think it might be until the end of the summer. So I'm just strap in and be like, all right, like work just might not happen for a little bit.
Yeah. I mean, and if anything, you got music. You know what I'm saying? You got a guitar. You got some things off to the side. If you got to throw some shit together,
I have other
bam, there you go.
dip into maybe it's the cosmos being like, we're doing this shit so you can write some more fucking music already.
Right. Right. No, it's, I mean, dude, you're doing an absolutely great job. I'm absolutely loving the shit that I'm digging into. I'm going back and watching Fear the Walking Dead,
Oh god,
the series that you've been into, dude. You're doing awesome, man. I appreciate the shit that you've been putting out there.
thank you, man. I really appreciate it. Thank you very much.
This is awesome. This is awesome. Thank you so much for the insight, for the time once again. Even having to, the postpone and all that, but I really do appreciate it. I'm gonna have this for anybody who's kind of late jumping in. I'll have it up on my YouTube within like the next couple months or so, and hope to keep in touch, my man. Stay safe, and yeah.
Hope better, bro. I hope it fucking finally.
I appreciate I appreciate it. Thank you, and good luck. Hopefully, all this washes over with the strikes and with a good outcome. I should say, not to rush it or anything like that because it's like I say for good reason. So
Yeah, need to be supported, especially writers. So
totally, totally. All right, man. You take care. Enjoy the rest of your day. Thank you very much once again.
of course, man.
See you, man.
Thank you. Later, dude.
See ya.
It's so lo-fi, lo-fi, a whole guy, yeah. Lo-fi horror guy has been recorded in front of a live studio audience.